What's up, guys? Here per request is another video about the GTI. You guys were asking for some more content, so I figured I would come out with a new video for you. Please ignore all the dirt on the car. I did take it to Tail of the Dragon over the weekend, and I have had no chance to clean it just yet. But I figured what I could do for today's video is to just share some supporting mods and just mods in general that I feel makes these cars that much more reliable as dailies. And if you plan to make big power out of them, I also recommend doing these mods just for safekeeping of the engine itself. So with that, let's begin. All right, first mod, first and foremost, stickers. Just kidding. But everybody tends to start with an intake whenever they get a car, of course. So we'll start there. This is the Unitronic intake. I love this intake. I did start off with the APR Carbonio intake, and I did notice that the air box that comes on those was very restrictive of air, very closed in. I did also notice that all of the carbon fiber that goes from front to back did heat shrink like crazy and cause a lot of heat soaking, and it ended up causing me to have even more PCV leaks, which is a standard issue on these vehicles from factory due to a flaw of design, which I'll get into in a minute. But with the Unitronic intake, it is all solid metal up here, and then you'll of course have your hoses that are going to be your wrapped silicone, a nice durable filter with a nice ram air box. Don't ask me why I still have secondary air. Who knows? If you know the answer, drop it in the comments below. Next mod that I would get into is the PCV system, which is going to be deleted on my car, as you can see. I went on ahead and got the 034 Motorsport Africa plate and catch can, Texas plate, Africa plate, whatever you want to call it. They go by so many names. Typically, how you can tell that your PCV system is starting to go bad is you will get a leak starting right back here, and that leak basically is because of the turbo sucking oil down from this breather hose. The concept was that air from the intake would come back and push oil back down into the PCV, but the PCV is not strong enough to be able to take it back versus the turbo sucking it down. So this is what I did to delete that whole system. I absolutely love this. As you can see, I haven't had any leaks since I did this, along with another mod I'll show you in a minute. But basically, the only thing that I do have to say about this is that this catch can is huge. Like, it's the size of my hand. And it's massive. So what I do recommend is whenever you're doing oil changes to go ahead and add a little bit more oil in whenever you're filling it up, just to go ahead and compensate for what's going to go ahead and suck down into the catch can immediately. Off the bat, I typically have about like this much oil that goes ahead into the catch can. And let's see, my last oil change was probably about 500 miles ago. And you can see how high it is already. So it definitely does have some sucking power to it, no pun intended. But also, I was at Tail of the Dragon, so it is going to be a little bit more full than it would normally be because I was driving the car very hard. Another mod that is super easy, you don't even need money for it really, is going to be a noise pipe delete. So if your car is completely stock, you haven't done anything to it, when you pop open the hood, you're going to see a hose coming from right back here at the firewall, coming down, over, and connecting onto here. Basically, all it does is it takes the sounds from the motor and sends it straight into the firewall so you can hear it in the cabin of the vehicle. Honestly, I find the hose to be very tacky. It's basically looking down and seeing something like this, just sitting on top of everything, and it doesn't look good, in my opinion. The sound that it puts into the cabin is almost kind of like a drone. I definitely recommend removing it. Plus, it gives you a lot more space to be able to do whatever you need to do, because you typically have to take it out anyways in order to do an oil change, etc., etc. Another mod that is probably my absolute favorite is going to be a diverter relocation kit. And so basically, it takes the diverter and plops it up here. From factory, these are going to be down next to your turbo, and they can most definitely leak, and they also do cause this breather hose to have some more, what should I call it? Not bypass. God, I can't think of the word, but oh, coming back up. There we go. There's a better word. Anyways, so basically with this, as you can see, I have a spacer on here, so that's what this little bit of residual oil here is about. But whenever I had the spacer and the diverter in the original location, it was spraying oil clean back to the rear wheels, and I was having to top off my oil every probably about 4 or 5 days. It was not a pretty sight. Now I can honestly go a couple of weeks without topping off the oil, but I have also rebuilt the bottom and the top end since then. But back to the diverter relocation kit. So this hose here, it's the same type of material that is on intake and on what I'll show you later for the intercooler piping. But basically it's the wrapped silicone, and it comes back here, and it actually works in lieu with this intake. Instead of going all the way down to the bottom, it does have a block off plate down there, but this actually does bolt into the intake here up top above the turbo. So it does help out with recirculation of air and everything else a lot more, I guess you could say, successfully than it would in its typical location. I absolutely love this. And of course, don't be like me with the spacer, because I just like to sound like hydraulic bus brakes in here flutter, and it's just venting to atmosphere rather than actually doing the job of the diverter. But anyways, back to this. Of course, I don't believe that they're the R8 coil packs. They could be, I'm not sure. My boyfriend works at Audi and just brought some home, so honestly I couldn't tell you. But they are definitely better than what you can find on ECS and everything like that. That's what I had before, and I was chasing misfires religiously and ordering coil packs religiously, and the cycle never ended. Let's see, I'm trying to think, is there anything else up top I want to show you guys? I don't believe so. I will go ahead and show you guys my intercooler. So I do have a new speed intercooler on here, and of course the piping, like I was talking about, is the same silicone that's wrapped and everything. And these bigger hoses, I will say, can cause you to have some boost lag if you are not tuned to support an intercooler. The size difference of the hoses and everything, I know everybody wants to have an intercooler because cooling much more efficiently is absolute cool beans, cool whatever. But anyways, definitely get a tune to support it, or at least try to run smaller hoses with adapters or something like that, so that way you are not suffering from absolute loss of boost. But anyways, all of this here that I have, you can run the majority of like the diverter relocation, intake, stuff like that without a tune, but my car is stage 1 plus Unitronic. That's how I am able to support the intercooler as well. And I also have the TCU tuned on top of the ECU because this one is DSG. I'm not a fan of Volkswagen clutches, so I went with the DSG, plus I get to have the little DSG farts, so it makes driving that much more fun. Of course, you have typical Volkswagens with aftermarket wheels and coilovers, but that has nothing to do with how the car runs. So again, just a couple of mods that help out with daily driving, help out with oil leaks, help out with the PCV system, helps out with just maintaining a healthy engine and a healthy life of the vehicle, especially with like the diverter relocator, the PCV delete, especially those. Again, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment box below. And I have been thinking about posting a video of my ride up at Tail of the Dragon. If that is something that you're interested in, go ahead and drop that in the comments below as well, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the video. If you did like what you saw today, go ahead and drop a like, and otherwise I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.